な死んださ。この辺りはぐるっと火に囲まれたんだ。
生きて帰ってこいって、そう言いましたよね。
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering the movie that won an Oscar, Godzilla Minus One. Yay! Finally!
This movie is being praised worldwide, and rightly so, as one of the best Godzilla movies to have come out in recent years, and we can definitely see why, because this film is set in a post-war Japan and follows the later events of a kamikaze pilot who suffers from PTSD after encountering Godzilla, and rightly so as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
After Godzilla causes even more destruction in his home city, he vows to help defeat Godzilla once and for all.
Yeah, that's seriously the plot. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, click notification on future podcasts, and all the pause videos.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for this, because this is something we've wanted to cover for a long time and something we wanted to see for a very long time.
Yes.
We finally got to see it. Thank you, Netflix.
To Netflix,
you are
yep.
awesome. And it was so understood that people were going to watch this movie that Netflix didn't even advertise it. It came out, and we kept going, when is Godzilla going to be out? Let me check it. And it was already on the service and had been on there for days.
Yes.
They said, we don't need to promote it. We don't need to advertise it. We don't need to do anything, because we know you're going to watch it.
Yep, they just put it on there. And after it's on there, then they put out a trailer for it. It was hilarious.
So, this is categorized as a Japanese epic kaiju film.
Mm-hmm.
It was written, directed, and had visual film effects by Takashi Yamakaze. So one person did all three, which was fantastic. It was produced by Toho Studios and Robot Communications, and distributed by Toho, And this is actually the 37th film in the Godzilla franchise, and Toho's 33rd Godzilla film.
Yes.
And the 5th film in the franchise is Reiwa era.
Right. And this one was a really unexpected hit for a lot of people, because right now we've had the Monsterverse movies taking place here in the U.S., and it's a whole different feel from when you see Minus One. The Monsterverse Godzilla seems to be really focused on the big kaiju battle and making high stakes and real action and stuff, which is fine. People really enjoyed that. It's been working. But what made Minus One stand out so much is that it felt more like the older Godzilla movies before they had the more comedic tone to it, where Godzilla was a monster.
It felt like a true Godzilla movie. And the biggest thing that I noticed, and for me, is that it didn't focus on a bunch of stars that were put in the movie.
True.
It focused on the story, the plot, how Godzilla affects the world.
Yes.
And
through the human's point of view.
And that, when you watch the older movies, that is what made those movies stand out.
Right. And with this one, you're getting more personal with the characters, rather than just being this top secret organization that's connecting all the monsters and trying to bring back something and making a big deal out of something that really wasn't that huge even in the original films. The different approach is making you empathize with the main character. You're seeing how he got the PTSD, why he has it, and how it affects him throughout the film. And Godzilla's doing some terrifying things that that justifies him being terrified. He eats people in here, so yes, I would be terrified too.
Now, this movie has a runtime 125 minutes.
Really? 2 hours.
It had a budget between 10 and 12 million. And earned over 115 million at the box office. What this movie did is prove to Hollywood, yes, America's Hollywood, that you don't need to spend 200 million Disney and other studios ridiculously obscene amounts of money to have a hit movie. They spent 10 to 12 million and just blew everything out of the water.
Yes.
This is proof that all of this flexing Hollywood does and putting all this unnecessary money into movies is not necessary. You can write, direct, and film fantastic movies with minimal cost and input.
Yes.
And yes, they used fantastic special effects.
Yes.
Yes, it looked gorgeous. It looked great. It looks real. And the actors were fantastic. This movie proves that all this flexing Hollywood does is not even necessary.
Yes. And perfect you brought up the special effects, because that is what won the Oscar for the movie. Because a lot of the compliments for the film outside the story and acting and everything was the look of Godzilla and the disaster effect, because everyone kept saying this is the most real he's looked. It didn't even look like it was computer generated, because you can kind of tell with the American version of Godzilla, you can tell he's a little CGI'd and stuff, which definitely. I guess was on purpose. But with Minus One, he looks like he's really there. It doesn't even look like it's computer generated. It looks like he's causing destruction. He looks terrifying. The destruction looks real.
Yes.
And it really captured that feel like he is causing total destruction and mayhem, and it's just chaotic.
Now, we almost didn't get this movie. Following Shin Godzilla in 2016, Toho wasn't able to produce another live-action Godzilla film until 2020, owing to a contract with Legendary Entertainment.
Yeah, with the
and we know they're handling the live-action MHA, so we don't know what to expect.
Right.
And producer Minami Ikikawa appointed Yamakaze to create the movie after completing one called The Great War of Archimedes in 2019. And then photography was postponed due to C-19 pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And then after 3 years, he took inspiration from Hayao Miyazaki and Steven Spielberg.
Right.
And made this. So in 2022, Robot Communications publicized that Yamakaze will soon be principal in charge of this kaiju movie, and history was made.
Yes. And another thing I think that stands out is that when we mentioned earlier about the Monsterverse movie being focused on the epicness of these monsters coming together in the big kaiju battle scenes, and again, nothing really wrong with that. There are people that really love it, and it's successful here. But Minus One's story and the idea that this one man is joining a bunch of regular humans to take down the monster because they're losing everything to it, and they're in total fear after losing a war, and then you got this monster coming in and destroying stuff even more that wasn't destroyed already, and just annihilating everything. They said, okay, we've had enough. We need to stop it ourselves because no one else is going to do it. And all these people that are normal, not superpower, not part kaiju, not kaiju number 8 or anything.
Commoners.
They're commoners coming together and defeating it themselves, and they actually are winning.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that proves that you don't have to have these fantastical storylines and plots in addition to having normal, like you said, gifted, superpowered beings, and I'm a part of a special forces. Special forces and elite organization.
And Earth Force, Enforcement Force.
Right. It proves that people want to see good stories with regular people.
Mm-hmm.
This movie proves it. So for all those studios out there that claim this is not what we want, we're proving to you this is what we want.
Yeah.
We don't want the majority of things you're putting out now. We keep telling you with the box office receipts, with the failing, with them not making money. Stop putting all this excessive money into movies we don't want to see, and just give us what we want.
Yeah.
It's almost like you don't want to take our money and we're just trying to give it away.
Right.
That being said, this had a fantastic Japanese cast, and as everyone knows, you can see it dubbed and subbed with an English dub.
Right.
But we're going to give a shout out to the Japanese cast. Ryunosuke Kamiki, Minami Hanabi, Yuki Yamada, Munetaka Aoki, Hidetaka Yoshioka, Sakura Ando, Ryunosuke Sasaki, Sai Nagatani, Miyu Tanaka, and Kisuke Ida. Now, of course, the only one people may be familiar with is Ryunosuke Kamiki. The English voice dub, Darren Barnett, Eli, and he goes by one name, Koi Dow, who we mentioned in another podcast, doing a dub.
Right.
Greg Chung, who we're familiar with. He's a a really big actor here in the U.S. Kong Sim, Zara Fazal, who voiced Dead Girl in the Young Justice season 3. Yeah. James Kyson, who I personally know from Heroes, who played Heroes' friend in Heroes.
Yes.
Everdeen Angelis and Calvin Han Yi.
この辺りを
And the cast listing we sourced from Anime News Network. But the English dub was fantastic. We don't know how it sounds in Japanese, and we're going to watch this movie again, so we will probably watch it in Japanese to compare it.
Yeah.
But the English dub cast was spot on, fantastic. The dub was flawless because you did not know that these actors were not speaking English. It was done so well.
Right.
Again, the budget was 10 to 12 million people. Why can't you do dubs like this all the time?
Exactly. And not have dubs look like Speed Racer and thinking we're like 80 years behind of animation and everything. And with this, it's 125 minutes, as you said. And what's strange about it is that you don't feel like you're getting tired by the end. We know there's been an issue with some of these movies made here where they're going on way too long. The story stretched out too long. They're trying to make this be worth the $50 ticket or something and spending hundreds of millions of dollars on it by making it this long, extravagant movie. Well, it's a long movie, but it's not just throwing stuff in there just to dazzle you and be like, hey, we did this, hey, we referenced these other kaiju movies, hey, we did that, oh, we got fan service, oh, we got this and that. They didn't do any of that. They just told a good story, and it was over a long amount of time the story was taking place, and wanting these people to just end the nightmare that was befalling them, basically.
Okay, I want to give a shout out to Koi Dao, because I remember we had mentioned him in another podcast, and who we mentioned him is as voicing Shota Kazuhawa in Kimi ni Todoki.
Yes!
He also has done a ton of voice acting roles for anime. He's an American voice actor. Quick few, March Comes In Like a Lion, Sword Art Online, Gundam, Mob Psycho, Sons of Work, Kurosiko's Basketball, MHA, Pokemon Master Journeys,
Oh my gosh, he's going.
And as we mentioned, Kimi ni Todoki. He's also done a few films, Sword Art Online, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, Detective Conan, and of course Godzilla Minus One, as well as a bunch of video games. So
Right.
just wanted to give a shout out because, yeah, this voice cast, the English dub cast, was amazing. If you have not seen Godzilla Minus One, there is no excuse. It's available on Netflix. Of all places, the last place you expect it to have been available on. Kudos to Netflix for putting out that money and getting this movie so that everyone in the Western world could enjoy this movie. It was worth the investment. I'm sure it paid off the first day it came out. That being said, if you have seen Godzilla Minus One, whether it was in the theater, on a streaming service, let us know what you think in the comments. I sure hope that it's that you loved it. And if you didn't, tell us why not. We'd be curious to know why. And if you haven't seen it, get to Netflix and watch it. If you haven't seen it, get to Netflix and watch it. If you haven't seen it, I don't think you can buy it yet. But I tell you, when this movie comes out to purchase, I'm buying this.
Right.
There's no way I'm just going to be watching on Netflix. I'm grateful for Netflix having it, but I want to own that.
Right. The cinema.
And come back and let us know what you think.
Right. And you even have the option of watching this in the black and white filter now with minus
Which
color.
we also want to do.
Because it says even more terrifying when you watch it like the classic movies with no color. Because Godzilla's already terrifying in here, and it's somehow scarier without color.
So maybe when the DVD is released in the U.S., maybe they'll have that option.
Right.
I hope so. Right now, Netflix doesn't have it. Netflix, pay a little extra and get us the black and white too. We promise we'll watch the whole thing.
Right. And if you don't already, subscribe for updates, weekly videos for anime series, animation shows, and all things animation, and a little bit of live action.
Yes, thank you for joining us, subscribing, sharing our videos. We appreciate you so much. And we love that you join us and listen to us tell you about something we know you're going to love. If you haven't seen it like this movie, Oh, Godzilla Minus One is awesome.
Yeah.
And you're awesome. As always, you
Our special. Thank you so much for watching Rascal
And
Entertainment.
Amount Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man. Who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. With her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams, plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, giving